back to yourself.
Adam Cook, how are you doing?
I'm alright, mate. Yourself? That's you sound stressed.
I'm not stressed at all. I think you might be stressed after playing Furi, however.
Yes, indeed I am. And our review is up of that game that Mick reviewed. Gave it 9 out of 10. Incidentally, I wholeheartedly agree. It's a game I think you're going to like, Greg, and you'll be able to play, I should say, right out the gate if you're a PlayStation Plus member, because it's going to be one of the free games on PS Plus, mate.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and I didn't really know much about it, but I did my kind of research, and it reminds me of a game I played. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Titan Souls. It kind of looks a bit like that. Is there any kind of similarity between them?
It's a boss rush game. Well, I say rush, boss rush. I mean, there are trophies for speedrunning, so I suppose rush comes into it. But I think you'll really like it. It is exactly what it sounds like, really. It's actually, do you know what? Before we get too far into it, there's something I want to give someone. I want to give everyone a little tip. Okay, I don't think it ever tells you this, but so in between each boss there is like exposition. And the exposition is kind of overlaid as you're just walking to the next boss, and it's got. Do you remember those really old Resident Evil style cameras? So you're holding down up on the joystick because you're walking up on the screen. Yep. The camera then switches to you're walking towards the screen.
Oh, right.
Yep. You've got it already, haven't you?
Yep.
You're walking towards it, and then if you don't keep holding up, which feels wrong because you're now walking down, and you let go and press up again, it sort of does that weird.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's very, very old in that thing. So here's the thing, right? When you're not in a boss fight and after you started walking, just tap the X button and it will walk you to the boss battle. The next one, it will just walk all the way there for you.
What, like you just hold it and it just takes you in the right direction?
No, you just touch it once. You press it and it activates basically auto walk, and then the weird bunny creature thing that's talking to you will give out some sort of narrative over the top. And it will just go to the next boss fight, and you're then into a boss fight. It's a bit pretentious in the long walks between boss fights, but the boss fights are great, and that's what you're playing it for. It's a combination of I don't really want to say this, but I'm struggling to think of basically it's very heavy on the parry.
Okay.
So you can guess what I'm trying not to say, because it's not one of those games at all. It's more like a Bayonetta style DMC, like where you have to execute the parry timing perfectly. Look, the parry part is very Dark Souls, okay?
Yep.
Because
to see that
it is. There's no way around it really. In modern terms, that's what it is. The enemies have a variety of attacks. Generally speaking, there will be a bullet hell section, there will be a melee section, and it mixes all the sort of things up in between it.
Okay.
So let me think of an example. The first boss is a good example because it's the tutorial boss, and it really does teach you how to play it. Now you have 3 lives, or rather 3 health bars. Okay, and a boss will have some have 6. Like the tutorial one has 6 or 7 because the first few are kind of free, like just teaching you how to play it.
Yep.
And then I think there's one that has 4, 3. It varies, but that's not really the important thing. However, each of those health bars that they have, each life the boss has, is a kind of like that's a phase.
Okay.
And once you finish that phase, fine, you move on to the next one. If you die or lose your life in that phase, you go back to the beginning of that phase.
So you don't have to, if you've already completed some phases, you don't have to do that part again?
You don't, unless you lose all your life.
Oh, okay, I see.
So what it can become is a bit of a war of attrition. So you know that it's the final phase you can't do.
Yep.
So the idea is, again, it's kind of like any boss fight. Like I need to get to that final phase with all my lives intact, so I get 3 goes at that one phase. But what it also means is if you can't do it, you do then have to go back to the start with your 3 lives, start again and go through all those phases again. It does mean boss battles, I mean, even because I played the preview build on PC and I'm now playing on PS4, it does mean that even though I knew how to kill the first boss, the tutorial was very easy, it still took me a good 10-15 minutes, and then the second boss is another good 20 plus minutes. These are long encounters.
Yep, I've heard a lot about how difficult it is. I saw our guy Mick tweeting how infuriating it was. Do you have any comment on how tough it was?
It is tough, but it's more about precision. So it really, more than any game like it, I'm not sure there are many like it, but more than any game like it, it really does require you, if you don't like bullet hell games, I'm going to assume you know what I mean by that, and I'm going to assume our viewers know what I mean by that. But if you don't like bullet hell games, you're going to have a real bad time. Because there are bosses that literally spam the whole screen with bullets, and the idea is you can shoot some of the bullets, and then a different kind of bullet, like a wave, will come, and you use your quick dash to dash through the wave, and you're now closer. So then more bullets come and shoot the bullets, repeat until you can get close enough and hit them.
Yep.
But there are other bosses, like the third boss is like this old Zen dude who you get the impression doesn't want to fight, but you're going through him. The idea is that you're escaping prison, and I'm going to go through all of you no matter what it takes. And that third boss, the Zen dude with like these old dude with earphones, and he starts off with like these barriers around him. So really, by shooting them, what you're actually doing is firing your own projectiles back at you. So it's about it's really clever. So I mean, it's like you don't want to just spam him. You want to kind of the idea in that one is that once you break one of the barriers down, you then only shoot through that gap onto the next row of barriers, rather than just spamming bullets and just getting rid of all of them.
Yep.
So there is technique to it, and people will speed run it and will find these, and it's genuinely cool. So like you'll do that, and then there's a bit where they're vulnerable, so you go in and it zooms in on the action, and it's just one-on-one, and they're gonna do certain. They've got then different attacks because you're close up, and that's mostly when the parrying really comes into it.
I see.
And it varies the timing. So most of the time it'll give you a flash. But like the Zen dude's a perfect example, because he does this thing where he lifts his weapon up, and rather than hitting you with it, there's a flash. Then he hits you with it. So the parry timing's totally different for him.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, and that's the one I really struggled with, because the parry timing felt like, right, he's raised it, he's going to hit me. No, wait for the flash. And parry, and then I'll do it again and parry. And whereas normally it's like hit, parry, hit, parry, hit, parry, and then okay, they're then vulnerable. With him, it was like raise, parry, pause, and it was less natural to play.
Yeah.
That particular, but that's how they vary up the bosses. Like the second one's another highlight. I really like that she's like this woman in prison who's just like been pretty much tied down, and as the battle progresses, she breaks free, like I think it's her legs first, and then next phase she breaks her arms out, and then final phase is like she just breaks out completely of her restraints and just goes. It's a very hard game, and it is one of those games where you will just swear your arse off at it, and then you'll go. Mick said this, like you'll do that, and you'll go away, and then you'll come back and do it first time. It's that kind of game.
So is it focus? Does it try and focus, I guess, on being difficult but making you want to go back, or is there kind of points where you just kind of feel bummed out, you can't do it, and you're just like, fuck this, and you just want to throw the controller?
I don't usually get like that, so it's hard for me to say. I know Mick did. Like I know there were points where he's like, I can't do it. I know there were points where he actually messaged me at one point and said, I can't review this. I can't do it. I cannot do it. And I said, and I'd done that, boss. I was like, I really think you can. I mean, similar, I'm no better than he is, but I really think you can. And then he just like, as he was typing to me saying I can't do it, he goes, I've just done it. It's one of those games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impossible to not recommend to have a try of it, because if you're a PlayStation Plus member, which kind of practically everyone is.
Oh, for sure.
You just download it. I really like it. And I think anyone who likes challenging games that rewards you for patience and precision will like it a lot too.
I saw a comparison to Punch Out. It was all over Twitter. People were arguing about it. But how is it like Punch Out? If you would care to explain.
Well, Punch Out was like a mano a mano 1v1 thing, and basically you would go up against a boxer, and they would have a set pattern that you'd have to learn, and you'd get round it. So it is similar in the broad. It's like Punch Out would be a rudimentary version of Furi. Like Furi does a lot more because it throws more mechanics into it. You can shoot in Furi. You can shoot like charge shots, the dodge, the parry. Whereas Punch Out would be more rudimentary. I can understand it. It's not a comparison I made myself until someone else did, and I thought, I get it. But it's. I mean, Punch Out had its moments, but this is generally speaking a more difficult game.
Well, I'm glad it's came off well. It will be available on PS Plus this month.
Yeah.
I would recommend picking it up. I'll pick it up. I'll see how it goes. I hope I do like it, but we'll see. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Should have backed the GodisaGeek Patreon.